Alright, good morning everybody. Just bear with me a minute, I'm trying to get everything set up here. Today I'm just going to be going over, it's just BS for the day really. I got a customer item to do, and I got some testing I'm doing on Eduramark sprays to see, try to get my opinion of them. Welcome, this is Jason with JR Custom Designs. Today I'm going to be going over just doing some rotary work. I figured I'd bring you guys along with me. It's not going to be anything special. I've got a customer's job I'm doing. It's just a single one-off cup, but I'm also going to be doing some laser engraving on glass using Eduramark spray. If you haven't heard of it, it's actually a really good spray. Sorry, just trying to get to the right thing here. It's actually a pretty good spray. This video is not sponsored by them at all. However, they did supply me with some samples to do some testing and to report my feedback on what I find or what I don't find. First impression of the stuff is really good, and I'll get into it in a later video. I don't want to get into it too much on this, other than the fact that I think it's so far so good. It's really it's got its benefits over Surmark or Rowmark or whatever marking compound you use. And like I said, I'll get into that in another video. But for this one here, I'm just doing some engraving stuff. So first thing I want to do is I've already set up my rotary. As you can see here, the rotary set up. I've got the base plates that were made to support the rotary so it doesn't move, locks it in place. It comes in handy when you're doing a lot of repeat jobs, so you don't knock it out or have to worry about lining it back up or whatever. I know some of you guys say that, well, I put it there and I never have any problems. Well, I'd have to call BS on that, because I've been doing lasers a long time and had several different types of machines, and everyone has a rotary very similar to this one, if not the same type as this one, and they always move. So if you've put yours in there and it never moves, you're lying. I'll just say that, and I'll say that with the utmost confidence. But anyways, so this was designed to keep the rotary stable, all that stuff. We got the clamping system. Everybody's seen that. Works really well. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm just going to be doing some glass work, and I want to kind of take everybody start to finish. Like I said, this is just a BS session. So if you have something to say or comment or whatever, feel free. I'm just bringing you along with me. If you don't want to be here, that's fine. I got a time-lapse photo going with my other camera here for the actual engraving, and I'll post that up as well a little bit later, so everybody can see that if you don't want to watch the whole video. But anyway, so without further ado, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go into and I want to show you the design. Okay, I'm just using my logo, my company logo, and the simplest way to do this is just to turn it all black. Now you can do it a couple different ways. I can convert it to a bitmap, and then I can change it to black and white, and then it's going to black and white everything, which is all good. On the CO2 laser, if you're using a fiber laser, you have to do it a little bit differently, because bitmaps don't work on fiber laser. They have to be vectors. Now, some will argue that point, and that's fine, but there may be a way to get around it. I don't know it, but bitmaps tend to not work on a fiber laser. just because of the way the hatching and everything's set up. But anyways, so for a CO2 converted to bitmap, as long as you have a nice clean image, everything comes out fine. You'll see little squiggly lines and stuff like that. That's just the computer pixels. I mean, it has nothing to do with the actual design that comes out when you're done. It's just the way I mean, if you get right down to it, all the pixelation of the image is what that is. Now, if you're concerned with that, you can back out of that, and you can just go in and, you know, go through, ungroup everything. You can fill it or not. No fill. So change all your stuff here. Depending on how you set it up, you might have to go and ungroup a whole bunch of different stuff. But just go to everything, turn it black, no outlines. And you could do that just by you can control your outlines and fill just by clicking on the left button will do your fill, and the right button on your mouse will do the outline. So let's say I wanted a red outline. Now you can see I have a red outline. Or if I don't want any outline, I'll right click on the whatever you call it here, the X removal button. Alright, so now when I do this design, you got nice clean sharp edges, and you don't have to worry about pixelating or any of that stuff that you may have when you're doing a bitmap. But generally you won't have an issue with the bitmap doing that. Just because it's not, it's a different process. I can't really explain it. It's hard. It's really hard to explain it. But anyway, if you want the cleanest image, you want to have a vector. If you don't mind having a little bit rough, use a bitmap. But if you have a nice quality vector and you convert it to a bitmap, like I'll do a copy of this and I'll convert it to a bitmap. It's already black and white, so it's already going to be black and white, 600 dpi. So you're going to have these anomalies or pixelations along your edges. Again, it's nothing to really worry about because generally it's not going to show up. So, but anyways, so there you have two different ways of doing it. All right, now I have my machine is turned on, it's ready to go. I got it centered over the rotary clamp, which the clamp is centered on the rotary. So I just center it over the handle, and then I've got my center of my cup or whatever I'm doing. So the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to do a regular glass cup. Now keep in mind this is probably going to take a little while. This video is probably going to be kind of long, but you know, like I said, you can watch the time lapse later if you want, or if you want to hang out, talk, or listen, then you're welcome as well. So, so now I got that there. If you go up here in mine happens to be in the upper slight right of middle, there's a little tag here. This tag, once I hit this tag, it automatically exports whatever file I have selected here, or whatever image I have selected, and it imports it directly into Eduramark. That's done through your macros. If you go through your macros and you set them up, and you do that through the USB disk that they gave you, you have to go back in and set up your macros for Corel and to be visible. I think I have to run through the process to know offhand. But anyways, once you set the macros, you can actually embed them in your toolbar to where, like if you watch, it's going to go through this little process here. And it's going to say, publisher unknown, hard drive on your computer, yep. So now, I go to Eduramark and boom, there it is. It's ready to go. Then I want to make sure over here that my output's set to yes. Alright, I'm doing glass. I want to do it at 200. And I'm probably going to do it at... I'm testing right now because one, I haven't used these glasses in particular before, and two, I'm using the Eduramark. So I'm gonna leave it at 25. I'll change this up as we go, our interval. I'll leave it at 0.01 because I'm not doing anything really spectacular. So there's no need, at least in my opinion, at this point, to make it any less. I could make it less and get a little bit finer quality, but like I said, this is just a logo. It's not a picture. It's not a great image of any particular sort. So I'm not worried about it. So then I want to go up here, and I like to use this not for anything other than just to make sure that I don't have any anomalies anywhere. Okay, so if you have it in separate layers. These are multiple layers, right? Maybe the J has, blacked out half of it, and it's white on the other half, or outlined on one half and whited out on the other half. Generally, that's because you have layers, and this here will tell you if you have any layers. Up here it tells you how much time it's going to take. I don't pay any attention to that because I really don't care. It's generally not right, so it's a good estimation, but it's usually off by double or triple sometimes. Either way, good or bad. But anyways, I mainly use this just to make sure that there are no anomalies anywhere that I am not aware of prior to engraving. Because like I said, this will show them if there's multiple layers, or if there's... I've had it before where there's like a little box or something that I didn't see because there was no outline and it didn't stand out. Once I got here, I had a big old box just floating over the image somewhere. So that's all this is good for me. Already works. You can use light burn. I don't use light burn. Yeah, I have no use for it. The camera thing is pretty neat, yeah, okay, but to me, it's just not worth it. That's just my opinion. If you're just starting out with laser, and you want a cheap, effective program to use to do your designs and do your work, it's perfect. It works very well for that. But if you're a more experienced user, you use Corel or AI or whatever you use generally, and then just import it into Eduramark or whatever driver program you use, which generally is Eduramark. So anyways, so now on this I'm doing a cup. So I want to flip this 90 degrees, and my point of origin is in the lower left. Well, I don't want it there. I want it to be in the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, go up to configuration, system settings, and I'm going to change the location on this dot matrix. This dot matrix represents every corner of the table and every side of the table in the middle. So I want it to be on the left side because that's the orientation of my cup. And I'm going to close it. You'll see it move. Alright, next thing I got to do, I need to go up to user tab. I need to go to other. Alright, right now I have rotary enabling as no. I want to read the machine and see where it's at. Okay. Right now my circle pulse is a little low because I haven't changed it from when I when I was doing designing and testing of the bottle clamp. But this should be 6800. So I'll change that, turn this to yes, and then I'm going to write it to the machine. Once I write it to the machine has that on file. It knows we're going to be doing rotary. My rotary is already hooked up. Now I'm going to read it just to verify it, and yes, it is there at 6835 on the diameter. The diameter is never going to change on the roller assembly. The reason that is because the roller, or the diameter, is based off the roller wheel that your product actually sits on and turns on. Those are 35 millimeter wheels. The only time that'll change, well, that'll never change, but the only time anything will change will be your circle pulse. So if you have like a bottle and you have the long neck at the motor end and the bottom of it at the other end, you're going to change your circle pulse lower because you want the same 1 inch per 1 inch to come out on the bottle, but you're turning a smaller object and engraving on the bigger part of that object, so you gotta offset it by changing your circle pulse. But generally speaking, for anything and everything, I've seen machines, I've helped some people set up their machines, and I've seen circle pulse whereas it needs to be 6300. I've seen mine's at 68, I've seen 65, 66. I mean, they range. It just depends on the stepper, and you know, maybe the wheel isn't machined exactly 35 millimeters or whatever. There might be some reason that it's a little bit different, and that's fine. And once you set it up, I mean, you're done. Now, if you use a chuck, on the other hand, your circle pulse is going to change. I don't use a chuck, but I think it's like 10,000 or something like that. And then your diameter is going to change based on the diameter of the product that you're putting on the chuck. And for people that had questions the other day, the circle pulse here, this circle pulse is 6800. It takes the motor 6800 pulses to create a circle, thus the circle pulse. So when every step that your rotary takes is a pulse, and every step is part of making that circle, which is a 6800. If that makes sense, I hope it does. It does to me. But anyways, that's what the circle pulse is. That's why it's there. And really all it's there for is to make sure that you get your 1-for-1 ratio. Now if you're working on Yetis or Arctics or whatever you use for your tumblers, the big ones, the 30 ounces or the 32 ounces or the growlers or whatever, depending on which one you're using, you may have to adjust your circle pulse so you get the right size output on the rotary. Because though the diameter doesn't change, the circle pulse may have to change to compensate for the size of the cup. I know when you're doing the tumblers and you're doing a full wrap basically on the tumblers, you usually split the difference because you have a taper. And then at one end you have a really deep taper. So instead of 6800, you might be at 6300. You kind of split the difference to make it to where it's kind of even throughout the cup. But generally you don't have to do that too much because the angle stays the same all the way around. But if you use a 4-inch lens, like I use a 4-inch lens for probably 95% of the stuff that I do. And the reason for that is it's very versatile, for one. I'm going to share this out to boss. Alright. Now I got that shared out. So yeah. So now you got all that done. You see all this, everything's individual. Your rotary set up, your circle pulse, your diameter set up. I kind of explained what that was. I got it to scan, output yes. And then if you hide it, it goes away. If you don't select it, it won't go anywhere, it won't do anything. Okay. Now, I'm just playing around with the numbers here because I got new glasses and I'm doing a little testing with Eduramark. So I'm just playing around with some numbers here to see what happens. I don't want to go too hot because I don't want to shatter the glass, but I need to go hot enough to actually make the Eduramark work. So first thing I'm going to do is see the size of this thing. Alright, so we're 188 millimeters by 132 millimeters, so we're way too big. So what I need to do is I need to bring that down to about half of that. Alright, so we're 133, still way too big. Alright, so now we're 62, so it's about 3/4, or I'm sorry, 2 3/4, and then 89, so it's about 3.5. Alright, so that seems a little bit more practical there. These are just little glasses that I'm doing this on. I'll show you what it is that I got here. This is some cheap glasses I got off of Amazon. Lancaster, Ohio. I've been there. So yeah, these are U.S. made. It's the Anchor Hawking Company, and they're out of Lancaster, Ohio. Not quite sure what kind of glass it is. It doesn't say. But I'm gonna probably bet, based on the price, they're probably not lead crystal. So I'm not too worried about that. Alright, so now take you over to the laser. Alright, so now what I want to do is I want to set up my jig. Put the cup in there all the way forward, and slide this all the way forward. Okay. Now I don't know if you can see this, but I know where my bubble is, and my bubble's pretty much dead level, dead center. So when I do this, I want to make sure that my cup is level, of course. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to raise it up. And if you want, you can set your level on there. And then you want to here, hold on a second. I'm going to switch mics here so you can actually probably hear me. Yeah. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me or not. I think you can hear me. Maybe you can hear me. Maybe you can't. Bump. All right. So I think you can hear me. Um, Not that I can see you, but if you can, I guess. Let me. So, anyways, moving on. Now I've got my cup level. I've got it centered, and I've got it set in my jig. So now I need to lower the table. Now I'm gonna do the dreaded autofocus that everybody says. All right, thanks, Ryan. I'll do the dreaded autofocus that everybody says, "Oh, it don't work. It's junk." All right. The only time I've ever had a problem with it is because it was my fault. And it's a similar situation to this, but I was doing a broom or a walking stick, and I didn't center the head up on the walking stick. So as soon as the head come down, um, as soon as the head came down on here off center, it cocked the lens. And of course, when it cocks the nozzle, it's not gonna retract like it's supposed to set off the autofocus. So it was my fault, and luckily I didn't damage anything. But you got to keep a close eye on it. Be ready to hit your panic button if you need to. So you do your autofocus. Boom, works. Oh, how about that? All right. So I want my logo right about there. So I'm gonna hit my origin. Then what I'm gonna do, go back to the desktop. You can't see, and I'm gonna go ahead and send it over to the machine. I have mine set up over Ethernet. My USB worked for a very short period of time and then quit working. So now I just have it through Ethernet and it's wired directly to my computer and I don't have to worry about it. My computer has 6 Ethernet ports on the back, so all my machines can plug into it and I don't have to use a switch. Some of them don't like to have switches. I think the laser is actually the one. It won't pick up on a network switch. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the case for me. That's the reason I bought a, uh, a network switch, not a network switch, but a network card for the computer. All right, where was I? All right, so I went ahead and I sent the file over. So now I'm going to check my files. I'm going to see that my file's there. I'm going to frame it. So I have my origin. Now I'm going to go ahead and frame it. Now it frames it. Looks pretty good. Not a bad size. Um, and everything stays centered. It doesn't move on the assembly because this is secured on the back with the heel plate, and then of course the clamp holds it down. And I'm already uh, square with the gantry because I use my little handy dandy legs you can't see there that come down and actually move around to allow me to line stuff up with the gantry. Um, So now all that's done, it's ready to go. I've done my framing. I'll do it again just to make sure nothing moved, nothing changed. And I think that logo is big enough. And like I said, it's just a test. Um, It'll give me something for my kids to break, I'm sure. So I can provide a little bit of cover from the glare. Like it's coming out to right on the. I hate the lag. I'm trying to watch it on video and everything to see where I'm at. See. All right, so that looks pretty good. All right, so here we go. Go ahead and make sure your air is on. We got to turn everything on. With your air being on, uh, yeah. So anyways, my door is open. I don't recommend doing this, but I do it because I'm doing a lot of videos and things like that, and plus I like to leave it open and see what's going on. Typically for something like this, if the cameras weren't set up, I would definitely have the hood closed, mainly because I am engraving a foreign object that I've never used before. I don't know how it's going to react. The laser could hit it for the first time and just completely shatter it. I don't know. So I'm keeping myself well clear of it, but typically I would have the hood down for something like this, just for that reason. But since I'm videoing, it's kind of hard to do that. Anyways, so everything's going. I got my air down. I don't want a whole lot of air. I got about 10 psi, which will drop down to about 5 or 6 here when I hit start. So here we go. Now this engraving you're seeing is just on regular glass. It's not coated with anything. As some of you guys know, I've been using or playing around with Eduramark. Um, Again, the video is not sponsored by them, but they did provide some samples for me to try. They got the black, silver, and um, diamond dust. They also have a really nice cleaner that to take off the residue when you're done doing yeah, powder coated tumblers. And I'll show a sample of that here in a second when I'll do the same object on a powder coated tumbler, and I'll show you how that comes off. But a lot of the details on that will come out on a different video. Anybody watching out there, please feel free to share with any of your other laser pages. I try to get everything shared out on this, but it takes so long trying to set it up that I sit on standby for so long. People get bored because there's nothing going on the first couple minutes of the video. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and share with the other pages that you're with, if you like. By no means is it a requirement. It just kind of helps me out a little bit. And as always with this page, I mean, I just come on here and do stupid stuff like this all the time. Or well, not all the time. I will be doing it more, but if you guys have any ideas or questions or want to see something in particular you're having trouble with, or try to find a solution to a problem that you're having, let me know. If I can help, I'll be glad to help. If I don't know the answer, I'm sure throughout the network, I'm sure I can find somebody that knows the answer or has a better idea about it than I do, and maybe we can work together and help you get it figured out. Because originally this page was designed to address those specific issues that people are having. And don't be afraid to ask questions, because no question is a stupid question. It's just you may have a question about something and someone else might have it too, but they're afraid to ask, and maybe you just helped 2 or 3 people by asking your question. This is running. It's a 150 watt laser, and I'm running at 25% power at 200 millimeters a second at point 0.1 on the gap. And as I said before, the point 0.1 on the gap, I'm not doing anything of great detail. And on glass, you want to be careful anyways, because if you concentrate too much in one area, you'll heat it up, and you can shatter the glass. And I wasn't sure with this glass because I've never used it, so I just wanted to make sure and kind of err on the side of caution. And so that's why I use the settings that I used. And just got done finishing up working on making some rotary tools right now. But anyways, all right. Now we're all done. I want to take this out and take a look. All right, so not too bad. Now, a lot of people uh, ask how do you get a good result when you're using glass without using soap or water or whatever you want to use. Um, it really just depends on the glass. Like I'm gonna say I'm really impressed with uh, with the quality. It's got a nice little texture look to it. It's not flaky. It's not chipped. It's almost like, I mean, it's like it's intended to be. It's almost like it's stained or sandblasted. Um, the residue or whatever you're seeing on there is just the cotton from the rag that I'm using. But you can see really nice, crisp, almost sparkles like a diamond. Very nice look to it. Okay. Now this is just the laser. No soap, no water, no whatever you guys put on there. Uh, and again, this is untested glass. And so far, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I like the little half pints or whatever these are called. I think it's a pint, maybe 15 ounces. So a cup. But anyways, so it engraves really nice. They said there's not any flaking. Um, a lot of times when you get flaking on a glass, it's probably because it's a lead crystal, or it has some sort of lead crystal in it, or lead in it. Period. And typically that happens because the glass overheats. It doesn't heat evenly. Um, so when it is hit with the laser, it's not an even heat, which causes issues with the glass. Because sometimes you'll see it, you'll engrave it, and it looks like it's not even doing anything, and then a few seconds later you'll hear a pop, and you'll look, and the glass just kind of fractures, whatever you're engraving. All right. So now I'm doing the Enduramark. This one here is the silver. I will tell you that the one thing I don't like about Enduramark has to do with doing cups on a roller. Okay, because unlike you got the Surmark LMM 6000. All right, again, not advertising for them, but just an example. This stuff here, when you spray it on, it sticks. It doesn't come off easy. It's a heavy film that sticks to whatever you spray it on, and it's a pain in the butt to get off. So there's a good side to it. Whereas when it's on the rollers, it doesn't roll off onto the rollers and make a mess. But then on the downside, it takes a lot of heat and a lot of work to get this crap off. So this is the first time using this stuff on the roller, but I can already tell you, just knowing, because it's powdery, when it dries, it's gonna rub off on the rotary. So I'm not even gonna do a uh, test frame. I'm just gonna go straight to engraving. All right. So if you notice, I moved my head out of the way. So people had questions or issues with that, or wondering, you know, how can or if I move my head, how do I get it back to where I want it? Well, you're gonna hit escape. It's gonna clear your menu. You're gonna hit escape again. Yeah, I didn't save it for some reason. There we go. I don't know what I did, but so if you move it all the way out of the way, hit escape. It's gonna come right back to where it started from. All right. So now we got that ready. Um, there, annoying me. I know it's gotta annoy you. Unfortunately, with the with the coating that's on there, uh, yeah, we're kind of stuck with that glare. Unfortunately, I apologize. But at any rate, I'm gonna press on. So I'm gonna hit start. Now we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna step away from the machine because I don't want shrapnel going everywhere if it does break. And if anybody's looking for any rotary attachments, clamps, or anything for this type of rotary, um, I got them in stock, ready to go. So the order usually goes out same day if it's soon enough, or next day, depending on the day of the week. And I've also got the bottle attachment available for them as well. That way you can do your beer bottles, wine bottles, all that stuff. Clamp them down, hold them in place. Again, you will need to adjust your circle pulse based on the diameter of the neck. But for a wine bottle, I was running pretty good at 2500 on a circle pulse, and that got me my 1-for-1 or 1 inch for 1 inch um, setting that I needed. So it came out size for size. I don't know if there is such thing as a standard wine bottle, but that's my terminology for it. So, at any rate, it's going to be interesting to see how this thing kind of contrasts between the regular cup and the silver Eduramark cup. And I also have black that I'm going to try out. Diamond dust I'm not going to mess with because, for one, right now, it's really finicky for me. Um, so I'm not going to mess with that as far as doing anything on the laser, at least not for a live video. I'm still talking to the owner, and he's helping me with any questions or concerns that I have about it. That way I can inform people the best I can. Because it is some of it is relatively new, and they're working on other stuff too. So we'll see what they bring to the table. Now, a good thing about this stuff is when you're done lasering it, I mean, I did this stuff. I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but I did wood. All right. Now, there is Eduramark. The coating's still on the wood. It will not come off unless I sand it. Here is Eduramark, either the top one or the bottom, whatever it is, the upside down one, where my finger's at. There's no Eduramark on the wood at all. It comes right off. And if you look at the difference between the two, this one down here is with Eduramark. This is without Eduramark with the same settings. This is a lot crisper. I don't know how. I don't know why, but it is a lot better image quality. So that was pretty interesting. So I wanted to see how they compared, or how it did, and quite surprising. Then again, I'll have more on that when I do my next video. Alright, now, so our silver's done. So, I'm going to take this off, and if you look at the rollers, you're going to see the white powder on the rollers. If you're doing the same color over and over again, it's not that big a deal. But, you do, if you're trying to do like a whole wrap or something, you do see the missing spots there where the wheels hit? See it through the glass on that side there, on the back side. So you do lose some material. But if you're just doing a logo like this, literally you just take it, wipe it off with a rag, it's just powder. Alright. Then I just take I mean, you could use whatever, just for rough cleaning. I use a industrial kind of Windex material or stuff. Wipe it off. And for your tougher stuff, you can use like the spray that Eduramark has, or whatever else. And a magic eraser helps a lot too. Alright, so I can say there's a difference, and I'll show you that difference when I'm done with all three cups. I wouldn't say it's a vast difference, but there is definitely a contrast difference with the silver. And now we're going to do the black. I'm going to put a little bit more black on here. The really good stuff about this spray is, one, it goes on really easy, and two, you don't need a whole lot. Unlike Surmark, it comes out, and typically, at least with my experience with Surmark, comes out really heavy, and typically you got to use quite a bit to get a good result, depending on the materials you're using and all that. Now I'm keeping all these settings the same. It's 150 watt laser, 25 millimeters a second. I'm sorry, 25% power, and 200 or 250. 200 millimeters a second, I believe is what it is. Yeah, 200. So all these tests on the glass are the same. The only thing that's different is with a coating, with the or without a coating, with the silver and with the black coating. And like I said, another good thing about Eduramark is it dries really, really fast. So I haven't looked to see what the actual recommended wait dry time is, but I can tell you with absolute certainty it doesn't take long. Alright, so that one's in place. Go ahead and lower the hood a little bit to get some shade. And put our laser back. And go to town. Now we're going to see what black does on glass. I see some people on here, and anybody have any questions, feel free to ask away. Or if you just want to say hi, you can do that too. It don't matter to me. I'm here having fun. I like this. I like to think I'm retired, but I have a job anyways doing this, so it's not really retired. Um, but yeah. So, any questions about anything so far? Any comments? Okay. Well, if you do, let me know. I'm here till the end of the video. And if you have any questions, my my inbox is always open. I'll help you out if I can. Um, unless I'm sleeping, I won't help you. You're on your own. But yeah. Paul, the glass I got off of Amazon, and see if I can get a link to throw up here real quick. Um, like I said at the beginning of the video, I wasn't expecting much. The glasses are made in the U.S. They're out of Lancaster, Ohio. Um, it doesn't tell me what kind of glass they are, but they are 15-ounce eyeball drinking glasses is what they're called. And I'm getting ready to put that into the link, or into the post here. There you go. So that's where I got them off Amazon. They were, I think they were like 20. It was $16.13 for 12. So about $1.25 ish a piece. And they're actually, like I said, they're actually engraving really well. I was very surprised. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't expecting much because they're from Amazon and they were unknown. But it's one of those things. I figured I'd give it a shot and see what it's all about. And I can safely say that I'm not disappointed. And for the price, you could turn around and sell one of these glasses for like $15 to $18 with a logo on it, or name, or whatever. And you know, people will buy them probably. Um, the black on the cup is almost done, and I apologize that you can't see past the glare of the spray, but I can definitely discern a difference. Not black, but more so rather a dark gray. Now we'll take a look at it and see how it looks once it's cleaned off. Another good thing about this stuff is you just really spray it. Because the powder is kind of messy, to be honest with you. But you just hit it with some spray, or just dunk it in a tub of water. Sometimes I'll do that if I'm doing a large quantity. I'll dunk it. I'll just have a tub of water. I'll just dunk it in the tub of water, and I'll be done with it. All right. So, like I said, I have the Diamond Dust, which is their other product. But I'm not going to try that because I don't think it's going to give me any different results than the silver, because it's basically the same thing. All right, so now I'm going to try to bring this up and show you without dropping it, making a fool of myself. All right, so okay, the image is reversed. So from your left to right, this is trying to get a good light because it's not. This is no spray, just regular glass. All right, so no spray, silver.